I've just switched the car into eco mode just to get an idea of what that sounds like, and actually, don't know whether this camera is going to be able to pick it up, but there is a difference in exhaust tone. Whether it's audio being pumped into the interior or not, I don't know, but let me give it a go, see if you can work it out. Lovely pops. Complete silence. And no pops. Some of my favourite roads are 45 minutes away from where I live, and the entire drive it was blue skies, sunshine and white clouds. And we arrive and it's torrential raining. We have finally got a break in the weather and we have a break in traffic. I've come to this quiet country lane out in the Cambridgeshire countryside, and all of a sudden there have been cars coming from all sorts of angles. As soon as the torrential rain hit, I've not had a minute's break with cars going up and down. But whilst we have this car parked up, the engine is running so that I can run the daytime LEDs and also the fog lights down there, because they look so cool at night when they are running. From the front, it looks a little bit like a light show. It is without doubt one of my favorite features on the Mk8 Golf GTI, especially the red details along the front, the fog lights running during the day, and this light bar that kind of goes through the VW badge along the front. It just gives it a more unique look, and this is exactly the spec that I was looking for. We have the upgraded wheels on gloss black with the red brake calipers and the red details. The exterior is absolutely perfect, and I've been looking on Auto Trader here and there, but as soon as Tony said that he had a black one coming in, it was almost a no-brainer, and the fact that it came with these wheels was a massive additional tick bonus that I ticked. Bonus box that I ticked? Sounds about right. I think we've got approximately 10 minutes before I need to get back in the car, because we've got another torrential downpour on its way. You can see the rain coming down. Almost reminds me of when I went up to Milton Keynes to drive the Cupra Leon, which is fundamentally the Golf GTI rebodied in Cupra form, and there was something about the way that this looked in particular. I've always wanted to tick the box of having a Golf. This is the upgraded Nuke, a Nuke spec Golf GTI 2021, and it has all of the bells and whistles that you would expect from the GTI model. Have a look at the seats back here. It is just perfect to have the black car, the red details, and then inside as well. Please excuse the fact that I've trashed this car pretty much already. All of the red details just make for the perfect specification. I almost don't want to wrap this car, and then you've got the classic GTI cloth as well, but all together, exterior wise, I could not have picked a better spec. I'm so happy with the way this car has turned out. When you compare this car to the white car that I drove from Gravelwood, I know spec is dependent, but this is much better in my opinion. I do kind of feel like I'm in a little bit of a rush, because behind me now we've got the world's darkest cloud. It almost looks like it's nighttime. In that direction it's a little bit lighter, so we're going to continue on this road, and the roads out here are beautiful. And this video has kind of become a little bit of a tradition on Supercars of London, where I bring you my first impressions of the first 24 hours of a new car that I buy. And it really started with the Audi R8, because I'd never driven one and went and bought my first supercar. But then it was the Nissan GTR. For me, that stood out as the one that was just so contrasting to what I was expecting from a car. Again, buying the car blind, had never driven one in my entire life. And it was just not what I expected in the slightest. Now, whilst I have test driven Tony's white GTI that I drove for all about 20 minutes so that I could make that video, I want to give you exactly what I've experienced in the first 24 hours of owning this, because the Mk8 Golf GTI, the GTI being iconic throughout, that is one thing that I've noticed and love about the size of the Golf GTI, is the fact that it is not as big as I expect it to be, and it is not as big as the cars that I've previously driven. Therefore, my brain is calibrated to try and move over as much as possible. And then I look in that mirror and I've still got about 2 foot. I don't know whether you can see how dark that cloud is. That is a joke over there. Oh my God. And it's over there as well. I am dancing between two massive storm clouds. That is so dark as well. Oh my God, we are going to get absolutely hosed down in about 10 minutes. Now I found a lovely little lay-by where hopefully we will be able to get some peace and quiet so that I can talk to you about the first couple of hours of the 24 hours of ownership on this car, because it was not all smart. So I was actually kind of annoyed. There have been quite a lot of criticism, I would say, around the multimedia infotainment system on the Mark 8. A lot of people preferred the Mark 7, the 7.5. I can imagine it was probably because there was more buttons. This is all touchscreen, which I will get onto when we go for a drive. But let me go back to how you start the car up, and when you put your foot on the brake, start the engine, welcome Paul W. Now that looks pretty easy to do. Now I collected the car from Tony's, I drove it home, parked it up, needed to go to the shops, perfect excuse to jump back in my new car. Got in the car, started it up, it went welcome ... name of the previous owner. So I was thinking, hey, how hard can that be? I'll start fiddling around. You know what? Every time you get a new car, it's exciting. You don't want to read the manual because you want to figure it out yourself. So I was going through the screen. First thing that came up, software update. I was just saying, thank God there are no farmers about so that I can get a little bit of time to create this section of the video. And there was a farmer. As I was saying, I was going through the system, software update. 45 minutes later, it's still updating. And I'm sat there going, I actually want to go to the shops today. And it was still spinning around, not giving me any information. It was not, basically. From farmers to fighter jets. If I see it, I'll film it. Safe to say that this computer system is not an iPhone, because it was so long, tedious, with very little information. There was no percentage bar, nothing. It was just going around saying software update. Anyway, it then told me to restart the car. I restarted the car. I could go onto the user and try and get a primary user on the VW car. What that required was downloading the app, signing up, typing in my email address, all of my information so that it could load onto the VW thing. An hour and 20 minutes later, I started the car up and it went, welcome Paul W. So that was a hell of a lot of effort, and I probably could have saved some time if I had read the manual, but fundamentally it didn't seem like there was any shortcuts to getting that screen to just say, welcome Paul W. Because when you buy a car secondhand, the last thing you want is a memory of the previous owner. Well, the rain is back, but whilst we're here, let me talk to you a little bit about the interior and my first impressions, because this steering wheel is beautiful and chunky. This leather as well is super soft. These buttons are a little bit frustrating, but the fact that they light up even in the daylight is better than these buttons here, which are all touchscreen, which control the temperature in the air conditioning, or the volume, which you can turn. What's this? What's this one do? Okay, so that mutes and unmutes the audio. These buttons there don't light up at night, so it's an absolute guessing game as to whether you can even touch these little indent grooves there and control the temperature which is there. The only other option is pressing climber, and then you obviously have all of your options here. You can stick it in automatic mode and everything kind of done for you. You've got the driving modes, eco, comfort, sport and individual. We're currently running it in sport, obviously. Basically, this cup holder here, to begin with, I thought was just the most useless cup holder here, having the drink just rattle around everywhere that you go. But in fact, you put the drink in, you press this button here, and my camera didn't pick up the focus, but basically the cup holder comes around and grabs whatever size can you have, which is actually much better than having the fixed cup holders. So that is actually pretty handy. 2 USB slots down here. Obviously, I got the red cable to match the rest of the car, but all in all, it's nicely finished. There are a lot of cheap materials, as you would expect from a VW Golf, but we've got the Harman Kardon sound system that you can see up here, which makes a whole world of difference. It is so cool. And this Apple CarPlay done without the cable. How cool is that? This is the first car that I have owned with Apple CarPlay, and it is hands down like the best thing ever. I'm not even going to bother putting a GoPro on the exterior of the car for this section because the rain is absolutely ridiculous at the moment, but thankfully I've got auto windscreen wipers. Now, the fact that this car has Apple CarPlay, automatic windscreen wipers, we've got automatic headlights. I'm going to put my fog lights back on as well, so that you've got the little spotlights down by the front right and front left of the rear front bumper. So I'm kind of losing my trail of thought with this weather. But after that little mishap with just trying to get welcome Paul W onto this car, what can I say about the Mk8 Golf other than it having really, really loud windscreen wipers? It's very frustrating to say, but Tony was absolutely right. Tony knows me. I've known Tony for about 6 or 7 years. He knows what I want in a car, and he knows exactly how I drive, and he knew that the Golf GTI would be the perfect car for me. And the fact that this to me feels like the evolution of the Audi A1, the Nuke, the car that I loved so much that sat alongside my Gallardo and AMG GTS. The fact that I now have this that can sit alongside a supercar or a super sports car, and I know this does the daily stuff 10 out of 10. It is a 10 out of 10 daily driver. It means that I can go and get something absolutely ludicrous. I don't necessarily need a comfortable supercar. I was looking at a 2019 Aston Martin Vantage because there was comfort, there was ease and convenience in driving that car that still looked as classy and as sleek as the Vantage does. But actually, it means I can go more hardcore, I can go more track focus, I can go even louder on the exhaust, which is just the most exciting element of now owning this car. I can start building the collection back up. So whilst yes, it's a Mk8 Golf GTI, it's not something ridiculous like a Range Rover Sport SVR, an Audi RSQA, or what we'd probably see as, if you won the lottery, what would be the daily driver. For me, it would be a Bentley Continental GT. That is the ultimate car. So I've knocked it down a few notches, and I've gone and bought the best car you can possibly buy for £30,000. Mk8 Golf GTI ticks so many boxes. My honest review and opinion is, yes, there are some flaws, mainly in the tech, the multimedia system with some of these touchscreens. I wish it had a little bit more buttons, a few more dials to control the aircon, and maybe a volume button. But I can live with that, because everything else this car does, it does absolutely bang on. There we go, guys. That is a follow-up from my collection of collecting what I believe to be the best car for 30 grand, a Mk8 Golf GTI. I'm so excited to bring you guys on a journey with this car and take you through various modifications and talk about whether it's improved the car, whether it's enhanced the car, or whether it's just completely outright ruined it. I will see you soon, guys. Take care, goodbye, and join me for more videos, not just on the Golf GTI, but on adventures across the globe, in Europe, and then we will start a summer supercar shopping mini-series, where I will add to the Golf GTI as a 2-car garage, and then maybe again for a 3-car garage.